Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about irrevocable trust, and we're going to talk about pros and cons of that. Hello, everyone. Hello, xin chào anh Luân. How are you?
Hi, Lam. Hello, everyone. I'm doing well. Hope you are doing well too.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for coming back one more time. This is another episode of Probate Show, and specifically, like we discussed, like I introduced before, we are going to talk about irrevocable trust, and I think that come up because I guess there's a lot of people asking about that concept nowadays, right, Tan?
Yeah, I've been getting so many questions. People coming in asking. I'm concerned about long-term care. I'm concerned about the government taking my asset when I'm old. What can I do? Um, and so one of the issue that comes up is this irrevocable trust. And
Mm,
a lot of my clients thinks that this is the greatest tools in the world that can protect them.
mm.
Um, and apparently they heard it through their friends or some kind of seminar. And so they come to me and they ask, can you help me do an irrevocable trust?
Mm.
But through the
Why don't we
consultation,
talk? Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I thought you finished. Go ahead.
Yeah. So through the consultation, then they know exactly like whether it is good or bad for them. And that's why I want to utilize this show to give this information to people.
That's so great. So why don't we take a step back a little bit and introduce like what the basic definition of irrevocable trust, because I'm sure that some audience will not be familiar with that concept as well.
Yeah. So let's start with the revocable trust first. This is what's called a living trust, what everybody knows about. This is the one that most people get. They call a living trust, which is a revocable trust, right? So revocable simply meaning that during your lifetime, you as the owner of that trust, you can revoke it, you can amend it, you can basically do whatever you want. You have 100% of the power. When
Revoke meaning change, right?
right, meaning
Okay.
change, you can
Yeah.
terminate the trust.
Yeah. I think I try to use a more simple term as much as possible, uh, especially for like non-English speaker like me as well. Some people may not be familiar with that term. So thank you so much for clarify that.
That's right,
So revocable just mean you can change as you wish
right,
throughout the life. Okay, got it.
exactly. So obviously the word irrevocable, meaning you cannot change it. Once you establish this trust, it is engraved in stone.
Mm,
Your whatever condition that you put in this trust, the trustee has to follow it. You cannot terminate it. You cannot make changes to it. So it is a one-time product. So that's why in order to do this trust, you have to be really certain that you want to use this trust.
mm. So in which situation someone would like to have a thing that they cannot change later on? In which situation can you give some of the example?
So typically there are three situations that this would apply. The first is that if someone was so wealthy that they have asset over the exemption limit, and when I say over the exemption limit, per person is about over $12 million. So as a couple, it's a $24 million or more,
Mm,
where you know you're gonna get taxed by the government if you ever pass this huge estate over to your children. And so, in order to alleviate some of that tax burden, you go ahead and you create a separate irrevocable trust and you move some of the asset out so that way your primary trust will have less than $22 million. That's one of the way to turn the faucet on and to start gifting or to start, do tax planning when you create this irrevocable trust. And that's situation number one.
okay.
Situation number two is where you have someone that is disabled.
Mm,
And now, typically, when someone is disabled, they are on government benefits. They get Medicaid, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever it is that is needed to provide for their basic cares, and they're not allowed to have asset. So that means they cannot have over 2,000 in the bank. They cannot own properties. Otherwise, they will be disqualified from these government benefits, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
one of the way that parents or grandparents want to care for this disabled child is to create this irrevocable trust to secure this money to provide for this particular disabled person over what it is that the government provide.
Is that illegal, by the way, to do that?
It is not illegal. It is
Okay.
very legal because the benefits provided by the government is not always comprehensive. Sometimes
Okay.
there are certain things that the disabled person might need, like a new bed, a new car, transportation, maybe a nicer place to live.
Mm-hmm.
And the irrevocable trust can own all these assets and provide to this person to give this person a more comfortable life.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, got it. Thank you for clarifying that. It seems to me at first like they try to hide assets from the government so that they still be able to get the disabled benefit.
Right. And that comes to the third situation is what you were kind of talking about, is to hide the asset. That is considered illegal.
Okay.
Now, let's say if you get into a situation where down the road you're going to get sued,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or your business is risky and you want to alleviate the risk and you want to minimize the risk. Then you would create this irrevocable trust and place some of your asset into this trust so that way the creditors cannot get to it.
Mm.
And it's the same thing for if you plan to use long-term care, right? Now, a lot of people, if they already use long-term care, then they wouldn't use this. But if you know at some point or you suspect that at some point you are going to go use long-term care and it's going to be very costly and you don't want to give up your house, because if the government has to provide long-term care for you, that monthly cost is about $5,000 to $7,000 per month. That means somebody comes and take care of you. They change your
Yeah.
diaper, they feed you,
Mhm.
and they provide them the nursing assistant for you.
Right.
And obviously, if they provide all those care, it's very expensive, and they want their money back,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so one of the ways they do it is when you pass away, the um, the the government entity then put a lien on your asset, your estate asset, so your house, and they're gonna ask for some of that money back, whether it's 30,000, 50,000, or 100,000, and your estate has to pay that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some people, they want to leave their home to their children, so they either gift it to their children before they get there, which is a bad idea, or they put it into an irrevocable trust, right?
Ah,
And again, once they put into irrevocable trust, the government entity cannot go after it because it no longer is in the control of the testator, the person who created the trust.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Got
However,
it.
there are certain things that they do need to know is that there is a look back period of about 5 to 6 years. So you have to do it before the 5 or 6 years that you actually use long-term care or you are disqualified from it.
I see. So if they put the property, a house, or any personal property into the trust within the last 5 years, and this year they start using Medicaid assistance, then they still be reliable for paying back, right? The government still be able to put the lien on the property. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, because the reason behind it is if you do it when you're about to use it, then you're essentially hiding properties.
Mm-hmm.
You're hiding your assets. So the government don't allow that. So the law makes it pretty clear that if you do within this timeline, you have to take the property back into your name.
Okay.
And then of
Okay.
course the government gets to take whatever they need from that asset to pay back the benefits that you receive.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that maybe one of the pros is uh, to 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 avoid the situation that the government can take back some of the medical assistance money that the government already give to the person,
Right.
right? Okay, if we use irrevocable trust, the government cannot do that.
Right.
Um, okay, so it sounds to be a good reason to do that. Is there any cons in that? In
And
this
that's
trust?
exactly what I want to talk about today, is that
Okay.
people only know about the pro, but they do
Oh,
not know about the con of this trust,
hmm.
the disadvantage of this trust. So the first is the obvious disadvantage is that you have no control over it. So you cannot change it, you cannot terminate it. Once you move your asset into this trust, you are hands off.
Hmm.
That means, let's say, Long, you put your asset into this trust and you say it's going to go to a certain grandchild of yours, right? Upon your death.
Yep.
Well, you later discover that this grandchild has become an ungrateful grandchild,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then you change your mind. You're like, I don't want to give my asset to this grandchild anymore.
Hmm.
Well, it's too bad.
Great.
You cannot take it back.
Okay.
It's in an irrevocable
Absolutely,
trust.
absolutely cannot do that, or it may be there is a way, but it's take more time and process.
There is two ways. You can ask the trustee, this new person that is managing this trust, to give it back to you,
Hmm.
but then they have the absolute power to say no.
Okay,
And
got
then,
it.
or you can go to court and try to break this trust apart.
So it's even more extensive process to be able to adjust any terms in the trust, in the irrevocable trust.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you are to create this trust, you need to be very certain about what you plan to do with it.
Mm.
Mhm.
Mm. Okay.
But there's more con to it as well. So the next one is, let's go to the step-up basis. Are you able to pull up like an image you found on this website? I think it's a great
Okay.
presentation.
There you go.
Okay, so one of the important things for parents to consider when they pass on asset to their children is the step-up basis. So in this example, as you can see, the testator Tom, so this is like the parent, okay? They bought this home way back then. It was valued at $100,000 when they bought it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
By the time that they pass away, this home goes to their children, and the home at the date of death is worth $500,000, right? So at this point, there is capital gain, okay? Between the 100 and 500,000, there's a capital gain of $400,000. But if the children gets to take it as inheritance, whether through trust or just inheritance, then they get to claim the new step-up basis, which is the basis at the day of death, which is at 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
So if later they go and they sell the house, and if they sell it the next day, then obviously they sell it for $500,000. They have no tax. But if they sell it a couple of years later and it goes up a little bit more, they don't have to pay the tax from the gain that is from the day of death to the day that they sell it. So the tax is going to be significantly less, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this happens a lot to a lot of parents I see when they purchase these homes. There's significant capital gain in these homes,
Right.
right? So do you want to assure that your children have a tax bill that they have to pay later? And majority of people will tell me no, right?
Right.
So by doing an irrevocable trust, the basis of $100,000 in this example follows the trust.
Mm.
So the children who later inherit this home have to pay a huge tax bill. So do you
Okay.
see the con there, the disadvantage of the irrevocable trust?
Big one. Big
Yeah.
one. A lot of tax.
Yeah. So before the law changed recently, but before you are able to take the step-up basis inside irrevocable trust. However, the government found that loophole, and so they closed it up.
Yeah.
So they say that basically now if you do a transfer to an irrevocable trust, it is
Uh-huh.
considered a complete transfer. Therefore, the basis follows the irrevocable trust. And so when it is sold, you have to pay all the taxes that is due on it.
Yeah. So when you do, so as of today, whenever you move to the irrevocable trust, the basic step up at that time,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So by keeping the house inside a revocable trust, meaning a living trust, you get to keep the step up basis, which is an important consideration.
Yeah.
Right.
Because when your basic step up, that means you potentially pay for more capital gain later on.
Right. So the
Hmm.
thing that people worry about is this long-term care thing. However, long-term care is not always guaranteed. Not everybody's going to use long-term care.
Right.
Some people, they live till the old age and they just pass away pretty peacefully or very quickly. They
Mhm.
don't drag on where somebody has to come and take care of them for months or years. So you're trying to weigh the balance up between something that maybe happen versus something that will happen.
Right.
So something that will happen is for sure is the tax bill that your children is going to get versus you may be using this long-term care.
Yeah. Because to your point earlier, the property has to be moved into the irrevocable just like more than 5 years, right? To be able to avoid the lien from the government.
Right.
So what if within that 5 years you pass away and you never be able to actually use the medical assistant, right? Uh,
Correct.
okay, got it.
And
That
then in
makes
some
sense.
situation, the family actually take care of their own parents, the kids.
Right.
So instead of sending them off to an assisted living or have the nurse come, the kids actually take care of their own parents. So then they really don't even use that at all. And
Mm,
the regular insurance, the Medicare or regular insurance do cover all of their medical
right.
basic costs, the doctor visit, the hospital visit. So they really
Yeah.
don't end up using long-term care at all.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Especially like also in the situation that they have a lot of assets at that time, they probably don't need medical assistant or anything like that from the government either. Okay.
Yeah. And with that in mind, I do have a recommendation. So for people who actually have assets that they do want to protect, I always recommend that they purchase insurance so that they do not have to resort to moving their asset to this irrevocable trust. Because there
Right.
are many great insurance products out there that have both life insurance and long-term care together, where it's a hybrid product where if you use it, then obviously you use up the money that you put into it. But if you
Mm-hmm.
don't use it, it's actually life insurance that gets to go to your children. So either way, you come out win-win when you purchase these products.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um. So far we go over two disadvantages, two cons of the irrevocable trust. Number one is the fact that they cannot be changed after everything is done, after the initial paperwork is done. And number two is when you move a property into the irrevocable trust, you're gonna have to step up basics right away, which gonna increase the capital tax gain later on when you actually sell it. Is there anything else that we have to aware?
I would say the third con is that if you move it to an irrevocable trust and let's say if you end up do have to rely on long-term care within those 5 years, you might get disqualified from it
Yeah.
when you most needed it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that could put you in a very dangerous position.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So it's difficult to plan as well. That's what I'm hearing. The third disadvantage is difficult to plan because you're planning for the thing that may not happen in your favor, right? First of all, that 5 years period has to be established. Secondly, maybe to your example, right? The nephew, the niece, the grandson, the grandchild may become bad later on, and it may be a difficult to change later on. So planning is also difficult, and changing is also difficult. Uh, I guess the only change, the only situation is that maybe it's benefit if you really need the medical assistance from the government in that situation, right?
Yeah. Like I said, it comes down to like the consultation, and if I figure out that they need it, I would absolutely recommend it. I'm not shy away from doing it. I've done many of it.
Okay.
But that comes with the consultation. I got to make sure that whoever is the trustee that's going to manage this irrevocable trust is so trustworthy, that I can entrust this responsibility to this person, because I've seen situation where the child or the trustee has said no to their own parents. It's a sad situation when that happened, but there's nothing I can do about it at that point.
Right, because they have the power to say no, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, that is the good point. Any legal paperwork has to come from a reliable source, right? Any advice has to come from a reliable source. In this situation, an attorney like Attorney Long Mai is going to be the best resource for you to rely on, because it's different situation. Each family has different situation. Each family has different assets, So I think the advice is great, spot on. Don't just use the template or some random website, Google website that say that they can set up everything for you, but just rely on a knowledgeable and responsible attorney to set that up correctly.
I agree. Also, let's talk one brief comment about template. I had a case recently. Someone brought me what they thought was a trust. Turned out it was a testamentary will.
Oh.
The weird thing about testamentary will is it looks like a trust, but it doesn't function as a trust until the day of death.
Interesting.
And then this person have all these assets that would have gone through probate if they had not come to me and have me review this so-called trust that they had.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's a good point. Like even a template looks okay, it doesn't mean that it has all the function of the trust. So having an attorney review all those legal paperwork would be a great idea. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Long, again for explaining the pros and the cons of irrevocable trust. We do have the next show on September 29 around noontime as well. So I hope to see you again there. If you do have any question, feel free to send me your comments or text me or even text Attorney Long. You don't have your phone number yet, but we'll get your phone number later on. And if you have any question, let me know. I'll text me. I'll send you Attorney Long contact information. Thank you so much.
Wait, Long. Is it the 29th or the 6th? I thought it was the beginning of the month on Friday, no?
Oh, yeah, my bad. You are right. So September 1st, actually. Yeah. Sorry about that, everyone. Oh, good thing that I have a good partner. Thank you again, everyone. And hope to see you again.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Long.
Bye-bye.
Bye.